Hey guys, I'm still plugging away here. I wanted to take a crack at the rhythm flat picking patterns, and I figured if I could get that to you early before we actually do it in class, you might be able to work with it. It's really not complicated. It takes practice, but it's not complicated. So there are there's three areas in the guitar for worship. There's scales, knowing those. There's only 5 different scale patterns. And the only thing that makes, you just change the spot where your root note is, and now you have all the other keys. So all you have to do is memorize 5, and we're well on our way for that. I think I've recorded now 3 of the 5 maybe. And then there's chords. And again, there's like only 5, maybe 6 open positions or open keys that we typically play in as worship guitar players, and that's caged. Those 5, C-A-G-E-D, and then possibly B, if you would consider that an open position. I play in that a decent bit. I like it better than A, that's for sure. But then there's rhythm. And rhythm, there's only 3 different ways to produce rhythm on the guitar. Well, aside from like smacking it around like a Marcin or something, but you have strumming, you have flat picking rhythm, like not just scales, but like flat picking rhythm. I'll give some demonstration. And then you have finger picking. I'm going to try to introduce those last 2. Finger picking is probably less applicable most of the time. I mean, I actually have begun to love it a lot more than I ever have, but it's just kind of hard to do like on a worship team. In certain moments and stuff, yeah, it's helpful to be able to do it, but it's kind of like on the priority list, it would be strumming for sure, like 75, I would say 80% strumming, and then maybe 90, and then some of the flat picking. That's a nice tool for your back pocket. But why flat picking rhythm might be a question. And so like one example for why, and then I'll give a demonstration of what this looks like. One example of why, I'm gonna get my face out of here, is something like Worthy of It All chords. It's slow. You know, the song has some really soft parts and some moving parts, especially if you're playing by yourself. You know, that's about as big as that song gets, you know? So the only way we can really change energy is to strum softer, which sometimes doesn't do the trick, or less. And you can, you know, do a slow. You know, but sometimes that might be even a little faster than some patterns, but sometimes you just need something in a little bit in the middle there. Not long, big strums, not big strums or even soft strums, but like something in the middle. Okay, so here's what would be a good demonstration of that. So what does this flat picking rhythm that I'm going to talk to you about do? And it's really a structure. It's really like a pattern that's your base pattern, and you just sort of add little building blocks to it here and there, but it's basically one basic pattern. But all together, here's a demonstration of what that might sound. I'm gonna do most of these patterns for the flat picking in the key of G or C, but for today, for this video, maybe just G, because it goes along with the patterns that are on the book. But here's an example in G of what this might sound like. Sorry. Not doing great here. It's kind of fun in C too. Anyway, yeah, whatever. Maybe that wasn't the best demonstration, but it is pretty. And it just offers you somewhat of an in-between because you don't want to just do long, unconnected chords sometimes, especially when you're worshiping by yourself or with a group, because they might lose the rhythm. You are worthy of it all. It's easier to keep a rhythm when you have a little going, but it's soft and smooth, and the more you perfect it, the cooler it can sound. But anyway, I want to give you the basic building blocks of what that is. And I'm going to try to scoot in here without knocking my guitar all the way around. I am on page 32A. And it's flat picking patterns. It is this page in your book, 32A. Okay? Let me get that positioned again. Okay, so you're going to live the foundation pattern. You might even call it home base, because I love that term so much, apparently. Or not apparently, I definitely do. Your center, when the root of the chord is in the lower two strings, closest to your face, which is going to be most of it. Most of the chords you play in most every key is going to be right here. Your center is going to be the D string and the G string. And you're just going to go up and down. I'll demonstrate a little bit better. But that's your center. D and G. Down on the D, up on the G. Down, just like flat picking or strumming. Down, up, always. To the B. So if I was going to practice this, I might want to get my metronome on. That's 100. And honestly, it takes hours doing this, and just like multitudes of hours to perfect this, or as if I perfected it, but to really get proficient at it. And eventually, hopefully you can just get really comfortable with bouncing up and down between the two of them. I don't know if I can double it. I don't know if I would ever go that fast, but that's kind of where you want to go. Okay, so foundation pattern one. That's the explanation. That top left pattern. That's basically just explaining the down pick. Yeah. Okay, I should explain this. But your center, your home base of this pattern, the foundation of this pattern is the center. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, along the center. You're going to be right there at D and G strings, down, up, whenever the root is on the lowest two strings, which is most of the chords. Whenever that root changes to the D string, which honestly is just a D chord, off top of memory, D chord. Maybe if you want to play the top half of the F chord, you can also play the bottom, which would be down here. But you can also play, you could play the F chord with the root a little higher, and then you'd have to change your center. But if the root is in the D string, you really should change your center to the G and B. And that's what page 32B is really getting after. But I'm going to stay on page 32A for this video. And basically you're going down, up to the metronome. Okay? Now that pattern is eighths. And this is like eighth. So really what we're doing is 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would be another measure. 2, 3, 4. So if you look at the top, so the bass, that's your foundation. But the basic way to use this pattern is when you're playing a chord progression, you play the root, which in this, if I'm just gonna play a G chord, would be the G. You play the root going going down, and then you just go back to center. Okay, so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now I'm holding the G chords down with like I normally would if I was gonna strum. And it's nice because you can do this and go back to strumming if you want. Okay, but just always hold down the chords with your left hand the way they should be. But we're gonna go G, lowest E string, and then G back to center, up on the G. And then I'm back into it. Back into center. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the G, 1. This is the top right pattern on 32A. Are there other patterns to play? Yes, but this is helpful because it's very repetitive. It's a nice little system to just kind of cherry pick building things on top of, and it sounds just incredible sometimes, or a lot of times, all the time. I don't know. If I thought it sounded sucky, I wouldn't use it. But this is what I do most of the times. So one example of this would be if you're gonna go like, I'm just gonna play some different chords in the key of G that have the root on these bottom 2 strings. So that would be G, the root there. C is the root there. So that would be the A string. E minor has the root in the bottom string, or the one closest to your face. And actually, if you wanted to do D over F sharp, you could consider that as being the lower 2 strings, and you can stay in center of G and D as well. But if you ever really wanted your root to be D, you need to shift your center to B and G. But that's what the next page is saying. But if we want to play D over F sharp or A minor, I might have already said that. But yeah, those are the basic ones. So I'm gonna call out the chord. I'm gonna do a different one every measure so you can see how this works. Stay on it as many measures as you want or as you need to get used to it. But G, I keep messing up. G, and G again, G. I'm gonna go to the C. Actually, I should put my index finger down. One more C. Back to the G. G. I'm going to go to A minor. I'm going to move my left fingers where I want them to go, but A, back to those 2 strings. Or real A minor. And back to G. So honestly, I would do all the chords you can. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E minor. 1 and 2 and 3. One more E minor. And 1 and 2 and 3 and back to the G. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Honestly, you can go back to your G chords page, your chords lesson, to like page. What would that be? I don't know. I have to keep going back. Sorry, this is just not the best professional way to do this. I should have had this marked out. We have page 7. You could take those chord progressions and those, going back and forth to like, pattern 1, G, C, pattern 5, C, E minor, pattern 7, G, A minor. You can take those, or like 16, 17, 18 with more chords in them in a row, and you can just do root, back to center, root, back to center, root, back to center. Okay? And that would be the greatest place to live there. And do that with the metronome. Just keep practicing that. That's basically all top right foundation pattern. Root, going back to center. And that there is going to take a lot of practice just to get it like get your body used to knowing where center is. Okay, that's going to take a lot of time and work to to get there. I'm gonna make one more video to show you how to build on that in the G pattern, or on 32A.